You are not broken. Let me say that again, because nobody in your life has probably said it clearly enough. You are not broken. The anxiety you feel when you wake up at 3 a.m. and cannot go back to sleep, that is not a character flaw. The tightness in your chest when you check your bank account, that is not weakness. The constant low-grade dread that follows you through your day, even when nothing is technically wrong, that is not a mental illness. That is a system working exactly as it was designed to work. And today I'm going to show you exactly how and exactly why. Because here is what nobody in the therapy industry, the self-help industry, or the pharmaceutical industry wants you to understand. Your anxiety is incredibly profitable, and the moment it gets cured, a $330 billion industry collapses overnight. Think about that number for a second. $330 billion. That is the size of the American anxiety and mental health industry right now. Therapy apps, meditation subscriptions, self-help books, anti-anxiety medication, psychiatry visits, wellness retreats. All of it built on one foundation, your suffering. Now ask yourself an honest question. Does an industry that size have any real financial motivation to actually solve the problem it profits from? Because 1 in 3 Americans right now report experiencing anxiety symptoms. 1 in 3. That is the highest number ever recorded in this country's history. And somehow, despite more therapists, more apps, more medication, more awareness campaigns than ever before in human history, the numbers keep going up, not down, up. If the solution was working, the problem would be shrinking. It is not shrinking. So either every solution being sold to you is wrong, or the problem was never what they told you it was. Here is what they never taught you in school. Anxious people are extraordinarily useful. An anxious person works harder. An anxious person spends more. An anxious person questions less and complies faster. An anxious person accepts conditions that a calm, secure, clear-headed person would immediately reject. Anxiety is not a bug in the American economic system. It is a core feature. And once you see that, you cannot unsee it. Think about how you work when you are anxious versus when you feel secure. When you feel secure, you set boundaries. You negotiate your salary. You take your full vacation days without guilt. You log off at 5 o'clock without checking your email at midnight. But when you are anxious, you do the opposite of all of that. You accept the lower salary because you are afraid of losing the offer. You skip vacation because you fear falling behind. You answer emails at midnight because you are terrified of being seen as replaceable. Your anxiety does not just hurt you. It makes you extraordinarily profitable for someone else. And that someone else figured this out a long time ago. Now I want you to imagine a dog on a leash. The leash is just short enough that no matter how hard the dog runs, the food placed just ahead of it is always slightly out of reach. The dog runs in circles. It exhausts itself. It never questions why the food keeps moving. It just keeps running. That dog is the American worker. The leash is debt. And the food is the financial freedom you were promised if you just worked hard enough. Right now, Americans are carrying $1.7 trillion in student loan debt, $1.1 trillion in credit card debt, $220 billion in medical debt. These are not accidents of a poorly managed economy. A person drowning in debt is a person who cannot afford to slow down, cannot afford to question their employer, cannot afford to take risks, cannot afford to think too clearly about who built the system that put them underwater. Debt is the most elegant anxiety machine ever created because the person in debt blames themselves, not the system that lent them money at 18 years old before their brain was fully developed and told them this was the path to success. You were handed a leash and told it was a ladder. But the economic machinery is only half the story, because governments discovered something that corporations already knew. Anxious populations are manageable populations. When people are anxious, they do not want freedom. They want safety. And the moment a population prioritizes safety over freedom, those in power can offer safety in exchange for anything they want. Think about the last 25 years of American political history through this lens. After September 11th, a nation in maximum anxiety, the Patriot Act passed in 45 days. A piece of legislation that fundamentally altered American surveillance and civil liberties. 45 days. Nobody read it. Nobody debated it properly. The anxiety made the decision for everyone. During COVID, again a population in deep collective anxiety, surveillance systems, emergency powers, and economic controls were implemented at a speed that would have been politically impossible in any calm moment. And when the financial crisis hit in 2008, Americans watched in anxious disbelief as trillions went to bail out the banks that caused the collapse while ordinary people lost their homes. And almost nothing happened, because an anxious population does not organize, it just survives. Every major expansion of power over the American people in modern history happened inside a window of manufactured or amplified public anxiety. This is not a conspiracy. This is pattern recognition. Okay, this is just watching what happens and asking who benefits. And then there is the media. There is a phrase in American journalism that is over 100 years old. If it bleeds, it leads. Meaning the story most likely to get coverage is the story most likely to cause fear. This was never just editorial preference. This was a business model. Anxious viewers watch longer. Anxious readers click more. Anxious audiences are more loyal because they feel they cannot afford to look away. The algorithm did not invent this. It just perfected it. Instagram's own internal research showed that their platform made anxiety and body image issues significantly worse in teenage girls. They had the data, they saw the research, and they continued anyway. Because an anxious teenager on Instagram for 4 hours is worth more than a healthy teenager who closes the app after 20 minutes. You are not scrolling because you are weak. You are scrolling because an algorithm designed by some of the most sophisticated engineers on the planet was specifically optimized to keep you in a state of low-grade anxiety that felt just uncomfortable enough to keep seeking relief, but never uncomfortable enough to make you actually close the app. So let me now say clearly what all of this means. Your anxiety is real. The suffering is real. The sleepless nights are real. The panic attacks are real. The burnout is real. None of that is in your head. But the cause, the actual cause, is not in your head either. It is in the structure of the world you were born into. A world where your anxiety funds a $300 billion industry, where your debt keeps you productive and compliant, where your fear makes you politically manageable, where your screen time makes shareholders wealthy. You are not failed by your own mind. You are managed by a system that needed you exactly this anxious, not more. That would cause revolt, not less. That would cause complacency, exactly this anxious, just enough to keep running, never enough to stop and ask why. And here's the thing that should make you angry. Not hopeless, angry, because anger is clarity. The doctor analogy makes this simple. Imagine a doctor who makes more money keeping you sick than curing you. Would you trust that doctor's prescription? Would you believe them when they told you the problem was just your brain chemistry? Because that is the relationship between the American anxiety industry and your mental health. They are not trying to cure you. They are trying to manage you. And there is a profound difference between those two things. Now, I want to be honest with you about something. Knowing this does not cure the anxiety. I am not going to stand here and tell you that awareness alone fixes what years of systemic pressure created. That would be its own kind of lie. But here is what awareness does do. It stops you from blaming yourself for a problem that was never yours to begin with. It redirects your energy away from trying to fix yourself and toward understanding the system that broke you. And it is the beginning of something that the system is genuinely afraid of. A person who understands how they are being managed is a person who becomes significantly harder to manage. You are not broken. You are pressured. You are indebted. You are algorithmically manipulated. You are politically managed. And now, you know it. And that changes everything about what comes next. But anxiety is just one tool in a much larger system. In the next video, I'm going to show you how debt, the same debt I mentioned today, was not just designed to make you poor. It was designed to make you permanently controllable. The history of how debt became America's most powerful political weapon is something that will completely change how you see every financial decision you have ever made. And the numbers, the actual numbers, are going to shock you. That video is already on the channel. Go watch it now.